how my art business changed after I made my first $100,000. The year I hit six figures in my art business was not what I thought it would be. I thought I had arrived, and it turns out I had only unlocked a bigger, messier level. So now let's rewind to 2011. My second daughter had just been born. Hey, Lucy. I was making animal pillows, calendars, and prints, all homemade, all the time. And I thought hitting six figures would mean that I had made it. But really, it just meant more of the same. More orders, more pressure, and honestly, more exhaustion. So more revenue does not equal more ease. So what was missing in my little art business? I realized I had been not marketing my business. I didn't have any systems in my business. All I was doing was making art and listing it on Etsy. That's whenever I realized I needed to try a different strategy, one that I now call make, meet, move. Make your product, meet your audience, and move like a business. You know, I had put all of my success in one basket. It was the Etsy basket. They brought the customers, I put the products out there, and it was a win-win. And you know what? Because I didn't have a business system in place, I made a lot of assumptions that were false. I assumed that my business would just continue to grow and grow and grow. And in truth, some years it grew, but other years, it was on the decline. I added in different income streams to try to stabilize my business, which I always advise. But being on Etsy alone did not give me the brand recognition that I was looking for. My customers were only on Etsy and nowhere else. And just because you hit six figures, gross revenue doesn't mean you're taking home six figures. And that's why knowing my numbers was so important. And I had no idea what I was actually going to pay myself in those early days. I literally just was like, if I have any money left over in my bank account, that means I am winning. But a lot of people are looking at $100,000 as a sign that you're doing it, you're killing it. But you could be making $100,000, and if you're also spending $99,000 on supplies, on the materials you're making to create and sell your products, you're gonna find yourself with just a really hard hobby that doesn't give you a lot of satisfaction. I did wise up and I did begin to expand beyond just Etsy. I started wholesaling my products to brick and mortar stores. I started licensing my products, and truly that is what really gave me the stability at the time where I felt like I had truly arrived as a brand, not just a doodler, not just a maker, but I was a creative business. And that gave me visibility, which built up credibility, which then meant I had other places to get eyeballs on my products, and it felt so good. But every year isn't stable as a creative business, and I assumed that, the magic $100,000 would truly help me to keep leveling up and up. And over time, I realized that the products that actually was helping me make that first six figures would kind of dry up in popularity. I mean, I've been doing this for 16 years now. There was a time when I was known for handmade animal pillows. There was a time whenever people knew me from these really cute little postcard-sized fox and owl calendars that I sold hand over fist year after year. But one year, they just stopped being popular. Now people know me for my tea towels, and I feel like I have a strategy behind how to continue to grow that business. In fact, it's grown into a multi-million-dollar creative business now, which is pretty awesome. But that didn't happen by running the business the way I did when I hit my first $100,000. It required me to continuously make new products, meet new customers, and move like a business. I mean, I went from just being like, here's a product on Etsy, look at me, love me, to having a marketing strategy. In fact, in 2012, I really began to move like a business by entering the Martha Stewart Made in America contest. Now, at the time, all of my products were made in the USA, handmade or made here locally. And because of that, I entered this contest where people could vote on their favorite Made in USA maker. And honestly, I did pretty good in that competition. It actually got it to where the Martha Stewart team was paying attention to me. At one point, I was in their gift guides. Martha Stewart on her own Facebook account actually shared about my fox calendar and owl calendar, and it felt like, oh my gosh, I've arrived. I figured it out. My life will never be the same. Martha knows who I am. Oh my gosh. But after that happened, after that success, I wasn't really making a lot more money. I had just shifted where the eyeballs were coming from. So what I had to do was kind of take a look at my budget, my business, and see really how I was making my money and how much time it was taking me to make the products I was making, because the more time I spent hand making products, the less time I had to market or put systems into place. And that's whenever I began to move away from handmade and looking more into things that I could manufacture and have better profit margins on, i.e. the tea towels that everyone knows and loves today. Now, when I was looking to make that first 6 figures, I was about 3 years into running Gingerbread on Etsy. I'd still been completely part-time up to this point. I decided I had to actually look at the numbers and see how $100,000 would be possible. So this is what I knew. I knew that if I wanted to hit 6 figures with my current products, that meant that I would have to sell 6,250 of my $16 calendars, or 5,000 of my handmade animal pillows priced at $20 each, or 5,000 art prints, which honestly I had way better margins on those art prints. And in the end, it was a combination of all 3 of those product mixes together that got me over that first $100,000 hurdle. So I had to make some external shifts in order to truly continue to grow my business. By 2012, I had moved into a studio, I'd launched my own gingerbread.com website, and I started experimenting with those higher margin, less handmade products like my now famous handmade tea towels. I got into the Martha Stewart Made in America program, and I thought, this is it. But visibility does not equal sustainability. And then I was on an emotional roller coaster of thinking maybe I just was a failure. Maybe people just didn't like my products. The truth is, I was full-time in my business, but not full-time in my income. I watched other artists blow up faster. They were indie darlings. They were unencumbered. And I beat myself up. I was like, why not me? Turns out it just wasn't my time yet. So here's what I would go back and tell 2011 Stacie. Stop believing that 6 figures is the finish line. Know that your moment will come, but only if you keep showing up. You're not behind. Right now, you're just early in your story. Now, a lot of times when people are trying to get to that first 6 figures, they are honestly looking for the problem, looking for the reason why they can't make it happen. In truth, you've got to realize that your story and your way forward is going to look different than everybody else's. And that's not just lip service, it's absolutely true. So I want you to look around and ask yourself, what is the thing that's standing in the way of me accomplishing that next goal in my business? So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, once I hit 6 figures, everything will be worth it. Everything will be easier. Yeah, you might have more money in the bank, but that just means that you're going to have to solve different problems. And in truth, you have to love the business you're creating. So do you love it? Do you love your art business? All right. Thanks for joining me for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.